If you heat with wood, you know the routine. Buckets of cold gray ash piling up on the porch, week after week, month after month. And someone always tells you the same thing. Just scatter it on your garden. Free fertilizer, right? The old-timers swear by it. So you do it. You spread that ash across your beds thinking you're doing a good thing. And then, 3 weeks later, your plants look like you sprayed them with herbicide. Edges of leaves turning yellow and crispy. Growth just stopped. Everything looking brittle, stressed, and stunned. I learned this one the hard way. Killed half a row of prime tomatoes back in 2019 because I thought more was better. The ash wasn't the problem. The method was. See, raw wood ash is chemically hot. It's caustic. It's aggressive. When it hits the soil, it shocks the system, spikes the pH instantly, and literally burns tender roots on contact. But there is a way to unlock every bit of that value, the potassium, the calcium, the phosphorus, without any of the damage. It's a process called liquid extraction. It takes a waste product and turns it into the most powerful plant tonic you can make on a homestead. I'm going to show you the exact setup, the ratios, the timing, and why this works when dry ash fails. But first, you really need to understand what wood ash actually is, because once you see it for what it is, you'll never waste another bucket again. Now look, this kind of information doesn't get recommended often. The algorithm usually prefers content that sells you a bottle of something. We document the methods that replace those products. If you want to keep finding stuff like this, go ahead and subscribe now. Otherwise, a video like this just disappears into the feed. Alright, let's get into what wood ash really is. When wood burns, the carbon and hydrogen oxidize. They go up the chimney as gas. What's left in that firebox is the mineral skeleton of the tree. Think about it. Trees are deep miners. Their roots reach down into layers of soil your vegetables could never touch. They pull up calcium, potassium, magnesium, and phosphorus from 10, 20 feet down and concentrate it in their wood. When you burn that wood, you're left with pure mineral density. No carbon, no nitrogen, just the raw elements plants desperate for but can't mine themselves. Hardwood ash is a powerhouse. It's got 3 to 7% potassium and a massive 25 to 45% calcium, plus trace phosphorus and magnesium. That is concentrated fertility. But in its dry, raw form, it's locked up. Those minerals are suspended in alkaline particles that don't dissolve easily in soil water. They just sit there, raising the pH and creating caustic pockets that scorch roots. You need a solvent to unlock that power, and that solvent is plain water. Think of it like making your morning coffee. Coffee grounds have the flavor, the caffeine, the oils, but eating the grounds isn't going to give you the effect you want. You need water to extract the good stuff and leave the grit behind. It's the same principle here. Water leaches those minerals into a suspension, creating a bioavailable liquid while leaving the harsh caustic particles as sediment. And to be clear, you're not fermenting it. Wood ash is sterile. Nothing's fermenting in there. You're extracting it. There's a big difference. Now, some old-timers will still tell you to just scatter it, and sometimes they get away with it, maybe on heavy clay soils in the dead of fall when nothing is growing. But most garden soils just can't handle that sudden pH spike. Timing it wrong can destroy an entire year's worth of work. Liquid extraction removes that gamble. You control the concentration. You control exactly where it goes. You're not playing Russian roulette with your soil chemistry.
Here's how you actually build the station. You'll need a 5-gallon plastic bucket. Use ash from hardwoods, oak, maple, hickory, or birch. Softwoods work, but they just don't have that same mineral punch. Fill that bucket about 1/3 of the way with your sifted ash. That's roughly 4 to 5 pounds. Fill the rest with water right to the top and give it a real good stir. You're creating a saturated solution. Now you just walk away and let it sit for 24 to 48 hours. Give it a stir once or twice while it's sitting. That water is busy pulling the potassium hydroxide, calcium carbonate, and soluble salts right out of those ash particles. After 48 hours, you'll see the sediment settle at the bottom. The liquid on top should be brownish. Sometimes it looks like amber or weak tea. That right there is your concentrate. Now, this part is non-negotiable. Do not pour off the sediment. Carefully ladle or siphon that liquid from the top and leave the sludge at the bottom. So now you've got yourself a batch of pure liquid concentrate, and this right here is exactly where most people trip up. They get that more is better mindset and pour it full strength onto their plants. Big mistake. Within a few days, those plants are going to show serious burn. Why? Because even in this form, the liquid is still incredibly caustic. We're talking a pH of 11 to 13. Honestly, that's getting close to lye. You must dilute it. That is non-negotiable. My standard ratio is 1 part concentrate to 10 parts water. If you're dealing with really sensitive crops, I'd even push that to 1 to 20 just to be safe. I usually go by what I call the tea color test. When it's properly diluted and ready for the garden, it should look like a very weak tea, a pale, clear amber. If it's dark brown or looks murky, yeah, it's way too strong. Add more water. This is your baseline. You're aiming for subtle here. These minerals are so concentrated that even at a 10-to-1 dilution, they're doing the work. You don't need to see black liquid to know the power is in there. For the application itself, pour it right at the base of the plant. And listen, this isn't a foliar spray. Keep it off the leaves. This is for the soil. The roots take it up and distribute those minerals throughout the entire plant. I generally apply about 1 cup per plant for my vegetables, and maybe 2 cups for fruit trees or larger shrubs. But here's the strategy that really changed the game for me. Weekly. Basically, you're giving them small doses every week rather than one massive, overwhelming dose once a month. That weekly approach keeps the nutrient levels consistent and prevents that system shock you get with heavy fertilizing. It allows the plants to actually adjust. One heavy dose just spikes the soil chemistry and stresses the biology underground. But those small, steady applications, they feed the plant at the speed of nature. The plants respond with deeper green leaves, faster growth, and much better fruit set. I've been running this system for 4 years now, and honestly, it's the single most effective fertilizer method I've ever found. Plus, well, it costs me $0. So, what responds best to this? Tomatoes, peppers, squash, cucumbers, basically any of your heavy feeders. Fruit trees absolutely love it. Berries respond well too. Even root crops like beets and carrots really benefit from that extra calcium for cell structure. The only things I completely avoid are my acid-loving plants, so keep it away from the blueberries, azaleas, and rhododendrons. That alkalinity will tear them up. But for 90% of what you're growing in a standard garden, this stuff is gold. Now, for storage, the concentrate will keep for months as long as it's in a sealed container. I just use old 1-gallon jugs. Just make sure you label them clearly and keep them way out of reach of kids or pets. Remember, this is still caustic stuff until you dilute it. As for the diluted mix, try to use that within a week. If it sits too long, it can start to grow algae or lose its punch. My advice? Just mix up fresh batches as you need them. No need to stockpile the watery stuff.
You might run into a couple of common issues. First, if you see a white crust forming on the soil surface after you water it in, that's just excess minerals crystallizing. It's a sign you're either applying too much or it's not diluted enough. Just back off the frequency or add more water next time. The soil can only absorb so much at once. Second, if you see absolutely no response at all, you might be too diluted, or your soil is already naturally high in potassium and calcium. It's always a good idea to test your soil so you aren't adding what's already there in abundance. Third, keep an eye on your pH. If your soil is already sitting at a 7.5 or higher, do not use this. You'll just push it into a range where the plants can't eat. It's the acidic soils, the ones below 6.0, that really see the miracle results here, because the liquid raises the pH gradually while it feeds. And fourth, tining. Spring and early summer are your peak windows. I avoid using this in late fall because you don't want to go stimulating a bunch of new, tender growth right before the first hard frost hits. If you want to get a bit more advanced, try combining this with compost tea. I'll brew up my standard compost tea, compost, water, and an aerator for 24 hours, and then I'll add my diluted ash liquid at a roughly 1:5 ratio. What you're creating there is a biomineral fertilizer. The microbes in the compost tea actually help distribute those ash minerals way more efficiently. The plants seem to respond almost twice as fast. It's next-level feeding. One other trick I've picked up is using it as a seed starting boost. When I'm transplanting my seedlings into the garden, I'll water them in with a very heavily diluted mix, usually a 1:20 ratio. That extra calcium strengthens the cell walls right when the plant is most vulnerable. It reduces transplant shock and helps those root systems establish a lot quicker. I've managed to cut my transplant recovery time in half using this. Just make sure it's really diluted. Those little seedlings are sensitive. Now, ash quality. This part is vital. You have to avoid ash from treated lumber, painted wood, plywood, or particle board. Those things are packed with chemicals, glues, and toxins that will leach right into your liquid and poison your soil. You only want ash from clean hardwoods, firewood, untreated dimensional lumber scraps. If it isn't natural wood, don't use it. Seriously, if you're even a little uncertain about where that wood came from, just pass. One contaminated batch can ruin a good garden bed for years. Let's talk volume for a second. 1 quart of hardwood produces roughly 50 to 70 pounds of ash. That's enough to make 10 to 15 5-gallon batches of concentrate. Once you dilute that down, you're looking at 100 to 150 gallons of usable fertilizer, all from waste, from something most people are either throwing in the trash or burying in the woods. You're turning disposal into production. You're closing the loop. That's the mindset shift right there. Here is what this actually represents. You're heating your home and producing a byproduct. Instead of hauling it to the dump, you're extracting pure mineral wealth. You're feeding your garden, which grows the food that feeds your family. The loop closes. Nothing is wasted, and best of all, nothing is bought. You're operating outside a system that wants you dependent on aisles of blue crystals and synthetic plant food. I haven't bought a single bag of commercial fertilizer in 3 years, and my yields, they haven't dropped, they've actually increased. My tomatoes are larger, the peppers produce later into the season, and the squash vines just keep running. The soil itself is improving year over year too. The calcium builds that structure while the potassium supports the fruiting. This isn't just free fertilizer. Honestly, it's just better fertilizer. That first batch you make, it's going to feel like a little science experiment. The second batch feels like validation, but by the third, it's just part of the routine. You stop overthinking it. It becomes automatic. Winter comes, you burn wood and save the ash. Spring hits, you extract the liquid and feed the plants. Summer is for the harvest. Fall, you repeat. That rhythm, that's what self-reliance actually looks like. It isn't dramatic, it's just consistent. You know, Curtis Mayfield grew record-breaking pumpkins up in Vermont using nothing but wood ash liquid and compost. This was documented back in 2018, over 400 pounds per pumpkin. No synthetic inputs, no factory-made solutions, just extracted minerals and biology working together. That wasn't luck. That was a man understanding how to unlock what was already there. And the best part? You have access to that exact same method right now. So start with just 1 bucket. Extract it, dilute it, and apply it weekly. Document what happens. I want you to come back in 30 days and tell us your results in the comments. What crop responded best? How much did you dilute it? What changes did you actually see? If this worked for you, share it with someone else who heats with wood. Post it in your homesteading groups. And subscribe if you want more methods that cost nothing but replace everything. Wood ash has been used as a fertilizer for thousands of years. Indigenous tribes across North America applied it to their corn, beans, and squash. European peasants were spreading it on their fields long before synthetic nitrogen ever existed. It worked then, and it works now. The only thing that really changed is that we forgot how to use it safely. Liquid extraction is just that missing piece of the puzzle. You aren't inventing something new here. You're remembering something very old. The difference between waste and wealth is just knowledge. The ash sitting in your bucket right now contains everything your plants are hungry for. Potassium, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, all those micronutrients those trees pulled from deep in the earth. It's not garbage, it's concentrated mineral potential. You just needed the method to unlock it. Now you have it. Next time you clean out your stove, don't throw that ash away. And please, don't go scattering it raw in your garden. Extract it, dilute it, feed it weekly, and just watch what happens when you stop buying what you can easily make yourself. The plants don't care about brands or fancy packaging. They care about minerals. And right now, you're holding a bucket full of them.